So I'm walking up this old Jeep road, which is closed for the season, so I pretty much have the place to myself, and I'm looking for a place to paint. I'm painting with watercolors, watercolor markers, some PanPastel, and then some colored pencils. I think I'll like how it turns out. Let's get started. I saw this place as I was walking up and I thought this is it, but I wanted to go a little bit further. But I backtracked to this spot because I like how this little valley works right here, and then the way the trees go down, and then those white trees poking up and the white coming down through the river. I think it's a really good place to set up. So I'll eventually use these watercolor markers and then maybe some watercolors, but I'm going to first start out with this pastel pencil, kind of rough in the basic composition here. I know you probably can't see this very good, but I've got the stream going in here. I've got this tree anchoring, and then these white trees in the background. This little tree that I just started noticing here. I want the depth to be here, and then this foreground here, and then the water. So I'm going to use these watercolor markers and try to anchor the place a little bit with this stuff I'm seeing. And I'm not sure how good of an idea it was to use this watercolor marker, other than I know it stays dry, so I'll be able to use it as a interesting underpainting. This whole area back here is dark, but I want to do that with a PanPastel. So that's next. I don't think a lot of people use these PanPastels. Kind of an interesting medium, but I know a lot of people, pencil artists, use it as backgrounds because it's a quick, easy way to brush in the overall composition. So I'm just going to throw this in as a way to establish the dark and the light spots. I know those trees are green, but we'll get there. Even the blue over that orange is kind of interesting. This surface is pretty smooth, so it doesn't take a lot of pastel. So I'm basically just toning the paper. And I use some blues, and I use some blues down in the water, obviously, and then some ochre here on the side. I kind of want this side to be a little bit browner, so I'm just kind of getting some bigger shapes of what I want the area to look like. I think ultimately I'm going to have to use my watercolors, and then I'll get to my watercolor pencils for the details. That should be fun. How you doing? Good, thanks. Trying to get a good mixture here of those greens. Mixing, yeah, that's terrible. I am just learning watercolors, and so feels like I can't get the right mixture of green, and this is all just getting quite muddy and gross. So I'll use this muddy and gross for the rocks, the darks. So I continued to do this for a while, and I have to admit that I failed to record everything I did, so we're going to jump cut to the portion that's a little later in the painting, but you get the idea of what I'm doing, don't you? Nature is so abstract, so I'm kind of just playing with things. And I use some muddy water for the water down here, and I'll put in details later, but I'm just trying to get the general feel for what this scene looks like. I keep forgetting to hit record on my camera here, and I move it around. So if this looks a little choppy, sorry. You think I'd know how to do YouTube by now, but I'm not quite there yet. Nature is pretty sporadic, so I'm just using some sporadic brush strokes here just to get the feel for the place. I like that bright area back there, so I don't want to lose that. And the water looks pretty reflective. I do like the value structure that I'm getting, and I think that's a good background. But it's time to put away the watercolor and pull out my pencils. So these are Caran d'Ache watercolor pencils, and I like them because I can get a little bit more precise rather than this really loose underpainting. So let's see what we can do. The first thing I'll do is do that bank. It's one of the most prominent part of the painting, if you ask me. Forgot the most interesting part of this painting was actually those white trees. So let's see if I can get those back in here. Trying a lot of different racers here. That electric racer sometimes works really good. It's a little hard to control. And it's a soft eraser. So sometimes I go with something a little bit more stronger. Gonna have to sharpen this one up a little bit. So my batteries ran out on my camera when I was filming that, and that was way back in March. It's July now, so it's been a while since I've done anything. Anyway, you haven't seen a video for a while, and I'm hoping to get better at this, but I do want to finish this up, and I know in the introduction I said I would like how it turned out. I'm not so sure anymore, so we'll see how it works. I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna start with these pencils. I continue to experiment with combining media, and I want to see how I might be able to add a tree to the foreground to help with the perception of depth. I'm going to speed up the process here because while I want to show the progress I made, it took a while, off and on for weeks. I really enjoyed painting outside, but I struggled with knowing how to finish this painting once I got inside. I wasn't entirely sure I liked the results, especially with the foreground. Those trees weren't quite ready for spring, so they were lacking the leaves, and the color of the woody branches was hard to capture. I did like how the color pencils helped me establish the pine trees in the back, though. I think drawing pine trees is my favorite thing to do. I did a little blue in that stream, but I mostly left it alone. Earlier I used pastel and I really liked it for the underpainting, so I thought I would try it on top to see if I could introduce some air to make those trees in the back recede a bit. And that didn't really work, but it was worth a try. And I just used a wet brush to kind of remove it. I added some watercolor back in too. It never hurts to try different things. It didn't turn out great, but I'm still learning. Speaking of new things, I forgot that I bought a tube of white gouache, so I thought I would see how well it did for adding some of the white for the splashing water in the stream. I didn't want to overdo it, but I think it worked pretty good. I'll definitely use that technique in the future. It was a lot easier than that eraser. The painting isn't bad, it just isn't what I had envisioned in my mind. That gap between what I see in my mind and what actually shows up on the paper is usually bigger than I hope. So I'm going to finish it off and call it good and move on to the next paintings and videos. Sometimes you have to get rid of the old to make room for the new, and I need this clipboard. I'll add a few final touches and I think I'm done. I think I like how it turned out after letting it sit for a while, so it was a good experiment. Check out my next video here. I think I liked it better, and I think you will too. Thanks for watching.